Nobody's hiring, nothing's going down. You can't get a job for nothing. So now we running out of the cash that we had. We have a son, Christopher, at the time that we're raising. And fortunately, we didn't have to leave our house or anything like that. But we were down to no money, to the point where I was asking my mother-in-law to pay for our groceries.
All right, so boom, welcome back to another episode of the Black Caliber Podcast. I'm here with our very special guest, Mario Armstrong, a very multi-talented television, radio, podcast, and talk show host, entrepreneur, public speaker, and content creator, appearing regularly on the Today Show, CNN, HLN, American Urban Radio Networks, and NPR's Morning Edition. He is the host of a daily motivational podcast, Wake Up and Level Up, and the Emmy-winning web series Never Settle Show, both of which began in 2018. He's won 3 Emmys, and he has also co-founded the Urban Video Game Academy, educational nonprofit that uses video games to boost students' interests and achievements in science and technology and math. Early in his career, Mario was Baltimore's first chief of technology under advocate of then-Mayor Martin O'Malley. He is currently working as a brand sponsorship expert, and he continues to inspire and motivate audiences with his dynamic presence. And he is also a fellow sushi lover. I read that.
Yes.
Right. Anything else you want to say?
No, man, you hit it all. I hit all the bases. I appreciate it. Good to be here. I'm excited, man. We're launching we're developing, I should say, a brand new show, and we're excited about that. So, yeah, man, we're just pushing forward on trying to really create things that really matter to people in terms of content and help them be able to see a pathway to get their ideas and their passions funded so that they can make their things happen.
All right. Well, that's great. So you have any you have a timeline, any streamline, anything else you want to promote?
No, man. I mean, I think, for me, it's always hit me up on Instagram. Just follow along there. I give a lot of free game and a lot of info right there. So at Mario Armstrong is always an easy way to get in touch with me. You can DM me. I respond to DMs. And I'm always giving up some games. So go to at Mario Armstrong on Instagram. And then for some of you that may be serious about trying to figure out how to get your podcast or an event or your YouTube channel and how to get that content funded, by brands, so that you can really make some decent money or at least some consistent money, then that's an expertise that we do outside of the productions that we create for ourselves. We create shows and then we teach people how to actually monetize their events and their shows.
All right. Well, let's kick this off with, how's your day going? You feel me?
Good, man. Yeah, it's busy. It's good. We just had to go and spend a big chunk of change on some taxes that we had worked out. We worked out some stuff with the IRS and just kind of gave them a lump sum of money. So I feel like the monkey's off the back. I feel good. I feel great.
All right. I love to hear that, right? So as we do, is very customary. So I want to take you back. So right now you just graduated from Calvert Hall.
Okay.
Right? So what were you thinking? What was your mindset? What was you where were you at? Did you know what you knew you were going to college? Were you confused?
I was confused. I felt like I was obligated to go to college because it just was you go to high school, you graduate, then you better go to college. I didn't have a job that I would want to do. So college was the next step seemed to be the most likely. The initial college I wanted to get into, Hampton University, that I didn't get accepted into. So then I was late in the game because I thought that was going to be a lock and it wasn't. And I put all my eggs in one basket, messed that up. So I was really kind of scrambling. I knew that communications was probably that was going to be my major. So I knew that was important to me. Did I know how important? No. Did I just had an intuition. I had a gut feeling that was the right major for me, that I think being on TV or talking and communicating and doing that at the highest level, I thought that would be something that would be a pathway for me. But I was confused for sure.
So you always knew you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be
I kind of knew that I wanted to do something like that, be in the media, actually on camera or on the mic. I knew that I felt like I had a personality that was different from many of my friends. I was the one that always seemed to be a little bit more extroverted. In many cases, a lot more extroverted. If there was a camera that showed up somewhere, I'm like the first one, like trying to get everybody to loosen up and jump in. So I felt like I had this natural tendency, just the energy of me just felt natural. I even remember as a kid, like doing some fake interviews with when he was playing like little league baseball, and I'd be like on the sidelines, like acting like I'm interviewing him with a little mic and a small camera. And so I can look back at some of those moments and be like, man, you didn't really know that's what you wanted to do, but everything that you were doing was leading you in that direction. So I'm glad you listened to your gut.
Okay. So what was it that drove you? So you went to college, I'm guessing.
Yeah, went to college.
So what school did you get into? Because you said that Hampton didn't accept you.
No, so I ended up going to another HBCU, which is WVSU, which is West Virginia State University. So I ended up going there, took communications. I was killing it, like the best grades of my life. Like I was doing really well with that major. But then about 2 semesters in, I went to an off-campus football game that was happening, and we all just went as freshmen. We just went to go hang out, and somehow or another, I ended up being targeted by like this local guy that's pretty much kind of like, I don't want to say he was like a gang, but it was pretty much like a gang. And he was kind of like the head of the joint, and he squared off for me. I was easy to pick on, man. I was like 140 pounds. I got curly hair. I'm not from his city. I'm 6 hours away. First question he asked, I'm standing in the stands watching this high school game. And I guess that's where we went wrong. We went off campus to go check out this high school game, but we didn't think we were going to get into anything. And so I don't even have people with me. I just got these people from college that we all just met. We've only been hanging with each other for like 2 semesters. So we're just getting to know each other. And so the first thing he stepped to me and asked me, he was like, where are you from? And I told him, I was like, man, I'm from Baltimore. So I'm like, and I could tell like there was some tension. And I was like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I know what tension looks like. So I was like, I'm from Baltimore, man. I was like, I'm from Baltimore. And I'm like, trying to give him like a look like, I don't know what this is, but I'm also not just going punk back down real quick, but I don't know what I'm about to get into. And so next thing I know, he was just like, you a long way from home, huh? And when he said that, I already knew, like you are like, like, like you just got the certain vibes you read in the nonverbal communication. I'm like, man, this is not good. And an older gentleman saw this whole square off happening, and he pulled me to the side. And he's like, Wayne, because that was the guy's name. He's like, Wayne, he's with me. Hold on, he's with me. So he pulled me to the side, and he was like, man, you need to get in the car with me right now and go. He was like, I need to take you back to campus. He was like, you're not safe. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, you didn't see. He's like, he's got like 6, 8 guys. You don't want to tangle with him. He's like the worst one that you could get in. And so next thing I know, that whole thing escalated. I became his target. He started coming on campus. Campus security isn't like what it is now. So he was able to get on. We get to fighting. Things get escalated. And there's guns are starting to be drawn and all kinds of craziness. So long story short, I was there for 2.5 semesters and I had to leave. So I wanted everybody to hear that full context, because many of your people might be in college, or they might not have made it to college, or they may have had something that derailed them. Right? Like I was on my way. Yeah. 4-year degree was going to be done. Didn't happen. And ever since that moment, when my parents got the call, because the guy the guy knew people at the university, and he was like, you need to get in touch with his parents or give me the info and get in touch. I don't think he really realizes how crazy this guy can be and what's going to happen. And so sure enough, it wasn't too long after gunshots started happening on campus or off campus, but gunshots started happening and they were meant for me. And I'm like, man, this is wild. I got to get out of here. So true story. Like I ended up with a 9 in my hand. No business having a 9. I was not brought up that way. Yeah. But I was fearing for my life. I felt like I had to have some kind of protection, but I had no intent on really using it, because I also felt like I would be a good shot. And I felt like that's not going to look too good, because I'm not going to miss, and I think there's consequences if I don't. So I need to get out of here. And so ever since then, man, it never came together in terms of college. So I had to build my own career from the ground up. And I had to kind of like fight for every opportunity that I had, because I couldn't use a college degree to get me in the door. But, here we are now, 2 Emmys later, 4 Emmy nominations, family, beautiful wife, beautiful son, doing phenomenally well, help others. So it can happen, you know what I mean? And it's just a matter of you really believing in yourself and then recognizing that there's so many opportunities out there.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a very stressful time. So
It was.
so you just got removed from school. Did you have like a support system? Was it just you? Were you on your own?
That's a great question. I did have a family, so I did have a support system. My parents were together, so that was helpful. They were understanding. Clearly, they wanted me out of there right away. It got contentious because I wasn't landing on my feet. Like, well, what are you gonna do now? They weren't looking at me like it was my fault, but everybody was disappointed that this thing happened. And then as I tried to figure out okay, I think I got to get a job while I try to figure out school and try it again. And so it was kind of like that period of support, but also concern.
Okay. All right. So what was your first step into becoming a talk show host? So you out of school now.
Yeah, I'm out of school, working, and the first job that I got that was like a real job. I had some other jobs, but the first one that really put me in media was probably my third job. And that one was actually working on commercials for companies that were buying ads on cable television. So they would be buying an ad on ESPN or an ad on TNT, but they were local companies that were based in Baltimore. And I would have to go to those local companies, kind of sell them on why they should be on ESPN and stuff like that, but then also have to make their ads for them, talk them through how we're going to produce it, how we're going to shoot it, how we're going to tell your story so that you can communicate to clients and potential clients and customers why they should come to your shop or why they should come to your location. So that was kind of my first taste. And that first taste was behind the scenes because I'm helping people come up with their commercials and production. And then I realized man, I need to get in front of the camera. And that's when it kind of took off, when I decided to kind of host my own entertainment talk show, just local to Baltimore. It was just a local show. But when that happened, that's when I was oh yeah, this feels regular to me.
It was comfortable.
Completely. When and that's a takeaway gem right there. When something is comfortable for you, you can step into a situation and other people might clam up or other people might be nervous or other people might kind of shy away or downplay it. When you feel no, I can actually poke my chest out, even if you're nervous, even if you're trying, which I don't believe in nervous. I believe that you're excited. It's just energy that we label the wrong way. So I reframe the energy. I'm excited about being in a situation. I'm not nervous about being in a situation, because if you're nervous, you're going to shrink. But if you're energized, you're going to expand. So whenever you're in a situation that I'll say for the right now, makes you feel nervous, but you feel strong in it, that is a really big indication that that's a lane for you, that's a thing that's going to be big for you if you lean into it. So don't overlook it. Don't take it for granted.
All right. And I do want to highlight the fact that mindset that, I'm not nervous, that's a negative attribution. I'm gonna attribute this to excitement, which is very positive. I think that's very powerful. A lot of people can utilize that.
They can, because nobody ever says I'm excited the same way you say I'm nervous. If you say I'm nervous about this job interview tomorrow, you say it kind of I'm nervous, you shrink, your shoulders, your body changes. But if you're man, I'm excited about this interview tomorrow, man, I'm gonna knock this, I'm gonna kill it. If you're excited, it's a whole different bravado, different level of confidence. Even if you're trying to Jedi mind trick yourself, I'm with it. Don't call it nervousness, call it excited.
All right. So you said you started this local Baltimore talk show. Yeah. And I'm guessing it started to grow. You started to develop a fan base. So how did you deal with knowing that everything you do now is somewhat under a microscope? Now you known locally, people watching you.
Man, that's a great question for a more mature individual. I wasn't that mature at the time, man. I didn't think about it like that. It's wild now that I think about it. You know what? I think I knew how to be a good human being. And everything starts with that. Today, we just had a situation with a client that we brought on, and it wasn't really the right fit. And I was still willing to be like, let's help them. We can help them. But then as we started having more conversations and now we're into like week 3, I'm like, I don't think we can help them. I knew that early on, but I was like, let's just try it out. But really, I should have just stopped it early on. The point that I'm making is like, we don't just do stuff for the sake of doing it because we can make money from it or because we can get another opportunity. It's like, no, if it's not right for people, then it's not going to be right for me. So by living by that code and living by, that golden rule, do unto others as you want done unto you, I think that helped just kind of keep me sane, as well as I didn't find myself into any controversial situations or conflicted situations because I think I had that solid root and that solid foundation. Because I didn't even see it like, yeah, people are seeing me. I got to watch how I move. I was just moving. And I felt like it was just a good move that I was just doing what I felt was good for myself and others. So I never really gave it that other thought.
All right. So then how did you start to snowball? Like, what was the growth? So you started in Baltimore, but of course, eventually you ended up on CNN and HLN. So how was that process? What did that look like?
Long. I'll give you the short version. The short version is I was working at a different job full time. And I was like, man, I'm not breaking through with this show. I got to try something else. So then I tried radio. And every time I pitched somebody, I would pitch them off of what I've done previously. So the first thing that everybody needs to take away is like, get out there and do some stuff. Just get out there and do some stuff. Even if it's not fully perfect, it's never going to be. Just do some stuff. And then now you have the ability to record some of the stuff that you're doing. So that way you can show me proof. Because if I roll up on Jordan or if I roll up on any of you and you're like, Mario, I want to be like this, or I want to do public speaking, or I would love to do TV shows or shoot films, I'd be like, all right, show me what you've done so far. You got to be able to show me something. Otherwise, I can't take you serious. So I was able to show people different things that I was working on, and that was helping me convince them, like, yeah, I'll give this guy a try. I'll give this guy a shot. So I went to the local TV station. Literally, this is what I did. I went to Channel 2, WMAR TV, and I rolled up on the station, and I was like, first off, I checked to see, did my family know anybody that worked there? We knew a guy that worked in sales, but he wasn't really like super connected, but he was like, come on in and I'll meet with you. So I met with him. I told him, I was like, here's the deal. I want to get on TV. I got a full-time job. I don't need the money. I just need the experience of getting on TV, because I was about to get the experience in college, but that got ripped away from me. So now I got to fight to create my own experience. So I don't want any money. So that was the first thing. I made it easy for them to also remove the obstacles so that they could say yes. So he was like, all right, go talk to some people over there and see. So I ended up meeting with like some folks over there, and they were like, hey, all right, we'll give it a shot. We'll try you out. We'll call it Tech Tip Thursdays. And I came on every Thursday to talk about technology. And this was like 7:30 on Thursday mornings. So I got a full-time job going into this TV station. I'm getting this training. I'm learning about lights and cameras and timing and going to commercial break and being live on air. I'm learning all of that stuff as well as delivering my expertise. So I'm honing my skills locally. So then I start saying, okay, but this ain't it. Like, this got to be the stepping stone to like going national. I'm trying to figure out how to go national. I did that thing, man, for 3 years while I was working a full-time job. No pay. If it would have happened sooner, it would have. It just didn't. And I was fine with that because I was getting all the experience that I needed, and I had the full-time job that was paying me. But it was like a blitz because I would have to go to the TV station early in the morning. Then I would have to quickly, as soon as I'm off the air, get down to my regular job and go do my job. So there were people that would be like, you start hearing little rumors like, Mario thinks he's this, that, and whatever, because he's also on TV. And so, you start hearing these rumblings with other people that were just like, I guess, jealous or was wondering how I was able to balance both of these things. And so I never really paid it too much attention. I just stayed forward with what my goal was. So then to fast forward that, now I'm getting the experience on local TV. So now I'm trying to figure out how to present myself nationally. So I get, I'm out there like putting together like my kit, like my demo reel, like here's what I've done. Here's how I look on TV. And so I'm trying to figure out like, how do I reach people in New York? how do I reach people in LA? Like, how do I contact them? I'm trying to get on the Today Show or Good Morning America. I'm trying to get on like these big shows with millions of viewers. So I'm asking the people at the station, like, how do you do it? And they don't know, because I guess if they would have known, they wouldn't be at the local station. Maybe they would have been in New York too, but they didn't really know. So I start working with brands and start like trying to figure out like, okay, maybe I should start working with some brands. Maybe that'll help give me more exposure. And I started working with some brands. And then I got this email from this one brand. It was like, hey, we got this woman over at the Today Show that's looking for somebody to do something on tech. And I saw your reel, maybe it's a fit, you know. And so they reached out, I hit them back. And I mean, within like a month or two, I was on a train from Baltimore to New York to go and like, I guess, try out being a guest on the Today Show.
Okay.
So once that happened, it went like, so that was it. Like, that was it. Like, once that happened, it was one of those things where you finally get that the coach recognizes you and you're like eighth man on the bench and they put you in the game. And then you're like, man, y'all don't even know. Like, I've been waiting for this moment. Like, you've been training really hard, but they don't really see it, or they see it, but there's no room for you yet until someone got sick or injured or something like that. And then they had to put you in, and you're like, man, I've been waiting for this. It's like, you know, Eminem, like that one shot, man, I went in on that thing, man, and I just prayed before I went on air, and I delivered my stuff. And man, the minute that segment was over, two producers came like out of nowhere. They were like coming for me fast. I was like, damn, why they coming for me so fast? Two short women, they were coming straight at me. And they came to me, they were like, you were incredible. What else can you do? And I was like, you know, my phone's blowing up. I'm getting all my people from Be More texting and calling me. Like they all like, yo, we saw you on TV. So I was like, okay, this was that moment where I actually showed up. All that hard work paid off, all that free stuff that I was doing at that local TV station, all those moments where I was like, man, it's not working, but just keep going. All that training, all that research, all that education that I had to do myself now came to this moment where it was able to be utilized and recognized.
I know that was a big feeling. So then what made you go from, all right, now you got your talk shows, you're on TV. What made you decide to kind of step out on your own and start making your own productions, your own?
That's a great question. Once you're inside of any business, it's really important whether you're an employee or a contractor or a consultant, like however you get in, like once you're in, and if it's a business that you enjoy, it's really important for you to learn all aspects of that business. And so I just started studying. I started studying different business models. I was looking at different people's shows. I'm paying attention to who's in the credits. Then I'm looking them up to be like, okay, what's their company about? What do they do? How do they show themselves? What's the words and the vocabulary that they're using to describe what they do? And I'm looking at all this and studying. And then I'm trying to understand the monetization. How do they make money? Is it just off the production? Is it off the production and licensing? Is it rights? Like, what's all this stuff mean? And so that intense research and self-education, I was like, man, we can make shows. I was like, we could do that. Like, it's that same thing. Like, it's possible. Like, I don't have no proof, but I mean, I got a show. We didn't have any Emmys or anything like that yet. So it's like, all right, I'm on the air and I'm doing it consistently. Don't you know this? Don't you know when I went to NBC and I started pitching them the show, they were like, we don't see it. The same place that I'm on the air, killing it. The same place where they were like, what else you got? And then they got me on like every week I'm on the air. Like I'm on live TV to 5 million households every day. I mean, every week. And they were like, I don't know if that show's going to pop. Like, I don't know about it. So what happened was I had to make a decision. Do I, and this may be something where a lot of people are sitting right now, do you have to get the green light from somebody else in order for you to pursue your passion? Or can you identify what that is and start making the next steps to do it yourself? You know, I got this quote that says, when something is important enough, you got to do it even if it's against all the odds. Like if it's important enough for you to do it, it ain't going to be easy. So you just got to do it anyway. And so we ended up doing it ourselves. Like we got a bunch of no's and then realized like, man, we either got to hope someone says yes, or we can take that same energy of trying to convince somebody why we should do this, take that same energy and just pour it into trying to get it done. And that's what we did.
Okay. Now, I was at the podcast summit, right, where you was one of the speakers. And I know that you haven't mentioned it yet, but so where in this whole story was the part where you said you went broke? Because I know that was a vital part of your story and even like that grind. So where did that happen in this timeline?
Yeah, that happened right when I was wild, bro. So I got laid off from the full-time job that I had. Okay. But at that time, I had been working on the WMAR TV stuff, the local TV stuff that I was telling you about. So I was doing the local news and all that stuff. So I was like, man, I got like 6 months of savings. I think we had maybe like 6 months of savings from my paychecks. And then we had like another 6 months that we had just been managing our money right. So we had about a year's worth of savings. So we were like, all right, we'll be all right. You know, I'll just get another job if I could, right? If I could get another job, we'll take some time off. Let me focus in on like this business thing. So next thing we know, like the market is just doing horrible. It crashes and burns. Nobody's hiring. Nothing's going down. You can't get a job for nothing. So now we running out of the cash that we had. We have a son, Christopher, at the time that we're raising. And fortunately, we didn't have to like leave our house or anything like that. But we were down to no money, like to the point where I was asking my mother-in-law to pay for our groceries. And so it was right at that same moment, check this out, when I was getting the emails about trying to appear on the Today Show. So life is crazy, right? The energy and the universe puts you in positions for you to pay attention to things, to either learn, to mostly learn from it, but then to also figure out what you learn from that and whether you should amplify it or not. So the yin and yang of the universe is wild. On one hand, no money. My mother-in-law is paying for our groceries. Things are looking pretty rough. They're not looking good at all. On the other hand, the Today Show is calling. So I'm broke going on the Today Show looking like I'm not broke. Do you understand how that's like how that messes with your head?
Yeah. So how did you keep cool? How did you stay so positive in those moments?
For a moment I didn't. I was crashing. I was burning quick. Like I was like, I'm very cautious to use the word depressed because there are people that deal with depression and it's a very serious thing. I would say I was disappointed in myself to the point that I was getting very sad. I won't say I was depressed, but I would be very sad and confused. And I would leave the house and I would sit in the parking lot of Starbucks and just to get away from, because the wife is now home. We're both working from home. Like the business was like up and running, right? We were doing great. Like everything was looking like we were about to get our first big deal. Like everything was coming. And then it just all got pulled out when the market just went upside down and people just started hesitating and companies started locking up all their money and their job opportunities. So we were a part of like that crash and you couldn't see it coming. And I had to go to the parking lot to get away from her sometimes because I just had to straight up cry, bro. Like I was just like literally like, I don't know what is going on and how I'm supposed to fix this.
It's a very important thing. So moving forward, so you get it, you get on the Today Show, right? You get all these things, you strike out on your own, and you started talking about leveraging how you leveraged to create your own show out of a lobby of what company was it in New York?
Yeah, it was a company in New York called Canary. They sold consumer products for people, like things like what you would see with like a Ring nowadays. It was like that, like 8-9 years ago.
All right. And you use
not that long ago. 7 years ago. Yeah, 6-7 years ago.
You use that. So now you're basically at the rock bottom of production right now.
Rock bottom of production.
I won't say rock bottom, but
we're rock bottom. We rock bottom because we're just coming up of like, well, how did he make money? What did you do to survive? Well, we started working with brands. Like things started getting better pretty quick. We were still in credit card debt, Like everything that we were able to start paying for, we were paying on credit cards. But you should never buy your groceries on credit cards. Like nobody in their right minds buy groceries on credit cards unless you don't have the cash. Right? So we were skating by, broke as hell, and there were different levels of broke for everybody, but we were definitely broke. And it wasn't until I started pitching brands that we could make some content for them. And it just so happened that a lot of tech companies were starting to want to do that. So we just kind of met them at the right time. And but I'm pitching and I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm going out the door, not having enough for gas, but I got enough to get me to the appointment. Like it's all of that, like just enough. Where can we pull money from that we need to pay for a bill? Can we postpone that bill so I can do, like it was crazy, the juggling. But that juggling got us through that rocky moment. And then we started getting our feet under us and some consistency and some sustainability. And then that just helped us as we were like trying to climb up. And then as these Today Show and these other moments are happening, we're starting to build our company now. And now we're starting to see like, oh, we can produce our own show. Let's go after it. And then we were like, well, where are we going to do it? We don't have a studio. We can't afford one. It's too much money. So that's when we started calling companies that we were like, can we shoot a show in your lobby? Like your lobby's got enough room for us to have like 30 or 40 people in studio sitting on chairs. We want to do an interview series. We need a place to shoot it. If you let us do it at your place, we promise two things. One, we won't be in your way of running your business. And number two, because we'll do it after hours. Number two, we will make sure that we mention you in every single episode so that you can hopefully get some sales. Right. So that is called a trade. That is a barter. Can we have your place in exchange for something we can do for you? And then that's where once we got it, we got 4 no's and then we got a yes. Once we got a yes on that, everything else started just coming together.
And I'm noticing that it's how you said how the universe works, how your first job you said in media was basically what got you through your lowest time. Your first job, you said you used to have to go to companies and convince them to buy ads. And now this time you're coming around convincing them to just buy into you. It really is no.
Isn't that great? Isn't it? We never look at our past experiences as our current expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what's happening. Your past experiences are your proven expertise. You just got to know how to look at it to be able to find those transferable skills to be like, oh, yeah, you were doing sales for others. Now you're doing sales for yourself. So yeah, man, it's really astute for you to kind of pick up on the breadcrumbs that's going down, because I believe everybody's life, especially when we start working with clients, when we're working with our clients and they're in the same situation I've been in and they're trying to get their content funded or their event funded. Like even the one you were at, the podcast summit, David Shands calls me. He's like, hey man, I need help with trying to figure out how to get this thing sponsored. So when people are in that position, normally what we find is that there's so much gold in their background that they don't see as the gold that we can utilize as part of the storytelling that convinces brands why they should want to work with you, or at least hear out what you offer.
All right. So in that, after you did that, when did you feel like you became like the guru on teaching other people how to do this?
Not until the pandemic hit, because we were on our own trajectory, building our own show. We then like built that show. Then that show ends up showing up in Times Square in New York City. I got a picture. Let me show it to you. I got a picture here that's framed of like what the set looked like. When we initially started, it didn't look like this, but this is what it looked like after the fact. Like second season, first season, we were struggling. We had to borrow a place. By the time we hit the second season, we were in a multi-million-dollar studio like this. I mean, that's like me up there with a guest and a studio audience. And then that screen, that whole thing behind you is like 100-foot screen that we had brands and sponsors and everybody that we had funding this to support it. So I'm showing that end result because like we didn't see that coming. We ain't know we was gonna get there. So once that started happening, we're like, man, this is real. Like we could really do this at a big level. And then we started doing it, did 2 seasons there, and then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, it just shut down all production. And so we were like, we looked at, this is one thing that everybody should have. beyond what you're currently working on, what are the other things that you would like to work towards? So, for example, we have a grid, or I would say a chart, like of all the different, this is a very bad example, but this is like all the different lines of business that we are considering. Film, education, network, never settled events, the show, blah, blah, like all the different things. And then what falls under there. So we literally looked at this and we were like, well, what have we been talking about that we would like to do? Now everything is shut down. What can we do? We got to do something virtual. What can we do? Well, we can do a version of our show virtual. Okay, check. But what else can we do? And then we looked down and we saw courses. And we were like, man, people are doing courses. They seem to do well. What are we going to teach them? And they were like, Mario, there's pretty much 3 things you could teach. And one of those is about brand sponsorships. You've done it. Why don't you teach people how to make money going after brands to support their ideas so that they can get their ideas funded and get them out there? And that's what we did. So the pandemic created that opportunity. We then hired a person to help us create that course, and we designed it, developed it, and man, it's worked for so many. You saw some of the people on stage. It's worked for so many people, whether they just wanted to get 5,000 a couple of times from a brand, or they wanted to get 30 or 75,000. Like, it's really helped people in different ways. So that's how that all started. The pandemic created our digital side of our business. Now it's a regular part of our business, so that we have 3 digital products that we offer.
Okay. So I already asked you what's next. So here's a question I like to ask. So what books are you currently reading? I mean, I see Grit back there. They made me read that in English class freshman year. And
that's a big book to read freshman year. That's good though.
And
that's good.
So what books are you currently reading right now?
That's a great question. I'm reading a couple of different books that are like not necessarily applicable to everybody because of the current show that I'm working on and developing. I'm really studying hard in that space. So one book is called Artpreneur, where it's really just talking about being an artist and being an entrepreneur and what that's like. I know what it's like because I live it, but I just wanted to see what this woman's book was kind of like revealing. So that was one. I would say another one that is what's that book called? Hold on, let me grab them. Hold on.
Got a really nice setup. I'm just looking like got 2 Emmys.
All right, I got them. Sorry, I had to dip off camera to go do that. So one is Never Split the Difference. This is by a dude that's a former FBI negotiator, Chris Voss. The deal with this book is that it really teaches you how to communicate your value and how to negotiate for things that are important to you. How to use emotional intelligence, how to use certain wording to hopefully get the kind of results that you're looking to get. So that's been really great. Then I also I finished this one recently. I finished that one, but I reread it. This one is 12 Notes by Quincy Jones. Really, really great book by Quincy. Short, easy read, but great life lessons in here. And it's wild. Like, music is all based off of 12 notes. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's it. It's just 12 notes. But you can do so much music within 12 notes. So those 2 right there, and the one that I said, Artpreneur. And then the newest one that I'm reading now, also in the art space a little bit, but this is really about creators, is called Steal Like an Artist. This is a New York Times bestseller. Steal Like an Artist. So this is all talking about like how to build your side projects and how to really uncover opportunities for yourself and all kind of stuff like that. But it's focused more on like creators and artists.
All right. Well, with that, I want to thank you again for coming on, speaking to my audience. Any notes, clue, anything you want to leave them off with?
Man, I would say, number 1, follow me on Instagram at Mario Armstrong. Number 2, if you like my energy, if it connects with you, and you want that motivation, I do have a podcast. It's called Wake Up and Level Up. It's going to seem outdated, because I haven't uploaded any new episodes in a minute, but all the archive episodes, like 300 episodes in there. There's something in there for you. So go to Wake Up and Level Up podcast. Go, especially if you're new to me, go binge some of that content to get you on the right path. And then if you got questions or you want to reach out to me, hit me up in the DMs in Instagram. Yeah, that would be what I would say, man. And I would just say that the one thing that no one should lose is curiosity. If you continue to be curious, it will open up opportunities. And the way I see it is like curiosity. How do I say it? I actually have it right there. Yeah, curiosity plus comprehension equals competence. And competence equals confidence. So if you don't feel confident right now, then you need more curiosity in your life. When you have more curiosity, you go and you go read, you research, you ask questions. Then you comprehend. When you get that comprehension, you start to know. When you start to know, you're starting to feel more confident because you actually understand something. So I think it all drives down to curiosity. And the last piece that I would say is ask expensive questions. Don't ask people the easy stuff that you can just simply Google. Even if you've noticed some of the stuff Jordan asked, some of the questions that he had to ask were basic because he needed me to kind of spell out the information so that you all could get it. But if you'll notice, he also asked very expensive questions. Things like, so how did you make it through this particular phase? You can't just Google that. How does one make it through a dark time? You can try, but like you won't get my perspective on that could unlock something for you. So ask those very expensive, but the in-between moments. Don't ask people like how they achieved it. Ask them what was going wrong and how they got past that. You understand the difference?
Very important. Thank you for the compliment too.
Yeah, you got that, man. Keep holding that skill.
All right.
I saw it.
Yes.
Good work. You're working on your audience's behalf, so that's really good.
And with that, can I just get you to say this is the Black Caliber Podcast?
Yes. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mario Armstrong, 2-time Emmy Award winner, and you're here with me and Jordan on the Black Caliber Podcast.
And thank you. Distinction at its finest.